This is Matt Abrams with Medical Device. Matt, it's been a while. My beard has grown. I think I cut my hair, but I'm excited to be here and produce a video that I think is important because a lot of people ask me this question and it's important. And I think it's a question they don't ask the hiring manager in the beginning or someone they don't really know. They view me as, a third party and they just want to get a little bit more info on the medical device. So today I'm going to talk about how much money you can make in the medical device field. I know it's a little taboo and I'm being a little clickbaity, but I do want to talk about and give some exposure and education around how much money you can make in the medical device field as a clinical specialist and as a rep. Importantly, this can vary. It can vary on where you are geographically, for what company, for what division, product line. But I'm going to give some ranges so you understand. If there ever is a particular role, you can search or talk to people to get an idea of what the fair market value is. So you can make a lot of money in medical device. I'm going to caveat that with money is not everything, but it's important to understand how much money you can make so you can design your life and understand where you can take your life. And money contributes greatly to the quality of your life to a certain point. I fully believe conversations around career earnings is important. It should be transparent, and a lot of people try to squash those conversations. So I'm going to talk about how much money you can make. I'm going to talk about why I think that's important. And lastly, I'm going to talk about not financial advice I did with the money and some basic principles, because you're going to get an offer from one of these great big companies and there's going to be so many things you don't understand. That is, you get your first paycheck and half of it's in taxes. And people can make that joke to you so many times, but you don't understand what that means until you get your first paycheck and you have a lot of money missing. I'm going to talk about some things I did to protect my money and help it grow over the year, especially being young. And when I first joined Medtronic single, I saved a lot of money so it would grow. So I'm going to talk about how much money you could earn in medical device, why it's important to have conversations around money, and lastly, I'm going to talk about what I did. It's not financial advice, but I hope you could read between the lines. So, how much money can you make in medical devices? Let's first talk about clinical specialists. Associate or the beginning first year clinical specialist could be making anywhere from probably 65,000 to 100,000. As you grow in that career and position, I would say you're topping 100,000 to 150, and really specialized positions in, I would say, structural heart or some of the advanced fields or startup, you'd be pushing close to 200,000. And that is compensation, total compensation. That is usually going to be a large salary with a quarterly bonus depending on the district or team you're part of. Wow, pretty exciting. You also usually, for the big strategics, Medtronic, Boston Scientific, Abbott, J&J, you get a full benefits package. So what does that mean? We have a car allowance. We have a retirement account, which I'm going to talk about at the end. You have flex and healthcare spending, which is money you set aside pre-tax. Because you're making so much money, you have a big tax burden. And that can be used for healthcare costs, right? Appointments to the doctors. You go on a ski trip and bust an arm. It takes care of that, right? And healthcare, which is a huge expense. So your total comp is the money you receive, but you also have benefits. So the overall value of these offers is a lot greater, right? So clinical specialists, a lot of their value comes with experience. So the longer you're in the role, your salary and total comp should be going up. If you have really strong relationships or you control a lot of business outside of other people, that is valuable. And if you have an esoteric niche knowledge, such as what I do, cardiology, if you're really good with TEE, echo, that is helpful. If you've been in the cath lab, or if you have just more exposure, if you're doing a very niche procedure, that drives your value up, correct? So that's awesome. And then sales reps, 1099 to W2, can make a lot of money, and usually it's on cap, meaning if you do really well, for every hour, for every success you put in and have, you're getting compensated. Sometimes it's going to be linear after your quota, sometimes it's exponential. It depends on the sales leadership and their belief in the reps. Some positions are capped. For the most part, I haven't seen capped positions in a while. 2000s, early 2000s was, I would say, a heyday of medical device, even pharma, where reps were making a lot of money. And the joke was that they were making the docs envious because they were making more than them. In today's age, I think pushing six figures is common for sales reps. So entry level, let's just throw out 125 to 150. Kind of senior reps could be making 150, 200, 250, 300. Some of the big strategics, if you're doing really well, and depending on the division, I would say 250 to 350. You could make more if you're in a really successful territory or have reasons that are supporting you. You could go into startup and have maybe a lower compensation, but an equity play where you're taking on risk in hopes that that company would sell and your equity would be worth something. I have friends, like I said, making 200 to 400, and I've seen the pay stubs. And I've heard of people pushing higher, but it was kind of a, I don't want to say lucky, it was an opportunity that they did well in, right thing for the territory, hospitals changed, or equity played out well, right? A lot of people don't like talking about how much you make. I think it's really important, and the reason is money shouldn't rule your life or drive your decisions, but it helps you understand and inform you on how to build your life. And what I mean by that is I like to think in the future. And I truly believe that if there's something I want, I could have it and I could build my life towards that. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to put my head down and we're going to work towards it. And I believe the same for you, that you control your life and you could control where you want to be in the future years. So the reason that compensation is important is I look at my life, the life I want, the quality of life, and I need to understand how I'm going to get there, right? So this is a fictitious example, but if you wanted a house, a car, to be able to vacation to Italy for 2 weeks and support a child, you could do a lot of research to quantify how much those cost, what you need, and work backwards. You know how much a house costs, you can figure out the monthly payment, you could figure out how much someone's itinerary was for Italy, child, I don't know, talk to your friends or go on the internet, and the car payment, and you could work back and say, how much money do I need to make to have that life that I want? Can I do that in medical device? Okay, yes, I can. You could also do it many different ways, right? You could go into finance. You could go into any really job to make money. So I don't want you to think that medical device is the best way to make money. It's one way to make money, and it's important, along with having specific reasons of why you want to be in medical device. People do not want conversations around money because they try to hire talent less, and I think it's important to find your fair market value. I think it's also important to feel your life, and for many different other reasons. My philosophy is to defer gratification for later. And with the money that I made in medical device, and I did not have lucrative positions or lucrative sales rep roles, but I did have roles that paid a fair amount. I put my head down and believed in saving money to let it grow in what people say is the eighth greatest wonder in the world, which is compound interest. And what that means is you put the money in accounts, investment accounts, where the money has a chance to grow. You could also risk and lose money, but every year you compound on top of your growth, right? And when I first joined Medtronic, I learned a lot about the benefits. And like I said, this isn't financial advice, but I want to illustrate a picture of what I learned, right? So first is I live in California, which is a high California state tax. Also, a federal tax is high as well because we're earning decent money as a medical device rep, especially if you're filing as a single person. A couple things happen. The big companies, you withhold taxes on each paycheck, meaning at the end of the year, you're not surprised with a rather large tax bill, but every time you get a paycheck, some money is withheld by your company so that you could pay your taxes, right? And that's important because when you receive your first paycheck, you think, let's say you think you're going to make 5,000 on your biweekly paycheck, and you get it, and it's the sum of 2,500 or 3,000. You're wondering where all the money went, and that money probably went to majority taxes, your state taxes, and then your different benefit allocations, because you do participate in the different benefits by putting money in your retirement account, your healthcare account, paying for your healthcare benefits if you do opt for those, right? So that is a little bit surprising, and it's just like one of the stupidest jokes because everyone says it. They laugh when you go complain to them, and you just have to experience that very special moment of making money and supporting the U.S. government and having half your paycheck gone, right? So with the money you made, how can you help it grow? You're making a lot of money, but you also want that money to work for you because you don't want to trade your hours and time for money. You want your money to work for you, right? So the first thing is a lot of the big companies offer you a retirement account. And what that is it's an incentive to put money into an account And I would talk to a financial advisor or someone, a financial professional, to see what's best for you. But for me, the way I understood it was I could put money into account, defer gratification to a set retirement age where then I could access that money without penalty. And what to incentivize me to do that is the money can be put in tax free and grow. And then when I take it out, I would pay taxes, or I could pay taxes now, put it into the account, and it would grow tax free if I qualify and draw at the appropriate retirement age. And that's a really powerful tool. And it's further incentivized by your company because they would match. And a lot of companies offer, if you put 3% of your paycheck into this retirement account, then we will match up to 3 or 4 or 5, 6%, right? So that's a great way for me to grow my money because every dollar I put in, a company would match and then it would grow. And I've been in medical devices for 10 years, so that money's been growing for 10 years, right? Another way to make your earned money work for you, right, is to put into pre-tax healthcare accounts, right, or daycare accounts. And what that means is you could put money into a special account for specific expenses, such as healthcare, be it an emergency room visit, prescriptions, a basic copay for a doctor's appointment. And that money is shielded from your tax burden and can be used for those specific qualifying expenses, right? And the reason that's important is taxes are, you pay taxes on brackets. So you have bracket one from, let's say, 0 to here, and you pay a small rate. And then the next bracket is from, here to here, and you pay a little bit more. And the brackets go up. So the top bracket, you pay a lot of tax. And that could be, let's say, 33 or whatever percent, depending on you. You work with your CPA. And every dollar that you take away from the top bracket is going to help you save money on taxes, right? So another way to have your money work for you is you have the retirement accounts that the companies offer. There's also a lot of these companies offer employee stock purchase plans, and that is an agreement for being an employee for the company is that you could buy the company stock at a discount on a set day every quarter. That discount could be 5%, 10%, 15%, or it could even be a startup that offers grants to purchase the startup equity. It could be, even equity itself. And at first glance, that's great, right? You're buying, let's say, a large strategic stock at a discount. But, if you participate that in bi-weekly, not to get too convoluted, it helps build employee satisfaction. You feel part of the company, but over time, you're going to be highly concentrated in a very specific stock, which is your company. And if you're invested in that stock with a lot of your money and you're working for that company, you have a lot of risk in the sense that you're not diversified. But I do think it's good to put some money in those employee stock purchase plans because you're working for the success of the company and you do get a discount. The other thing you do is after tax money you can put into investment accounts. What I did was people invest in individual stocks. I don't have the time to research. There's a couple companies I do like to research on just because I enjoy that. But there's baskets of funds that track the US or the international stock markets, and I invest in those because it's very easy. There's no high expenses, and they do well compared to a lot of other investment funds. The strategy I had to build my financial future was to have success in my job and to continue to have success and move up the career ladder, take promotions, find new opportunities so that I could have a bigger impact at my company. Not so much to earn more money, but to really have a bigger impact, right? And on the side, my financial goals was the first and most important thing was I wanted to build a savings emergency fund. If I ever was laid off from my company, I would have, in the beginning, it was actually 3 months of expenses that I could survive and figure out the next thing. As I got older and there's other influences in my life, the savings went up and it went for a longer time. And that's just something you have to decide personally. The next thing I did was invest in the retirement accounts because that sets me up for the future when I retire so I have money to retire. And the company would match to a certain percent. I then participated in the employee stock purchase plan at a minimum level because of the discount and because I felt a better connection to the company, something that I was contributing to the success, even though I'm a small employee number out in California with hundreds, thousands of other employees, right? And then after that, because I wanted my money to work for me, I invested in, like I said, mutual funds. But you go on LinkedIn, you talk to people, people are invested in cryptocurrency, real estate, private equity, many different ways to make your money work for you. So the takeaway here is make your money work for you. So this was a little bit of a rant today about medical device. I hope I lured you in with how much money you can make, which is important. I talked a little bit about why having conversations around that is important. One, to build your life, but also to build your fair market value and understand how much to ask for in negotiations. And then lastly, I talked about what I did financially, not to really, I'm not, it was not a, I hope you didn't interpret it as a brag, but just to provide some financial literacy around the benefits you can receive at a large company, right? Which is these retirement accounts, which I knew nothing about the fact of paying taxes, which I heard about, right? And how to make your money work for you. So this is Medical Device Matt. I know I've been missing my videos, but we're going to get back on the roll and get some of these helpful videos out here. Appreciate everyone that watches. Stay tuned for more. Take care and happy holidays.